Well, how do you like that for some playoff drama? In the Eastern Conference semifinal, Louisville City advances past Pittsburgh in a penalty kick shootout to go to their 8th Eastern Conference final. They've never failed to advance to this stage of the playoffs. I'm Jeff Milby. She's Casey Whitfield. It was a total thriller tonight, Casey. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game. There were long stretches, particularly in regular time for about the first hour, where it was looking a little dicey for Louisville City. They had to come from behind. They scored 2 goals after the 80th minute. Manny Perez with his second career goal, his first for Louisville City, to make it 2-1. And then Cameron Lancaster scores on a penalty kick that was drawn by young Elijah Winder just a couple of minutes later to make it 2-2. Just your overall thoughts on what was a crazy playoff opener for Louisville City tonight.
So I feel like the first half, they did not play well at all. It was not the Lou City we were used to seeing. They were not possessing. They looked disjointed. They weren't on the same page. And it was very frustrating to watch because we know that they're better than that. But they did make some halftime adjustments. There were some players that came on, and you could start to feel the energy start to shift. Even though they did concede an early goal in the second half, it started to shift Lou City's way, and they continued to fight, continued to be relentless, and continued to try to implement their style of play. And ended up paying off. And there were 2 great goals. And then just the environment, the fans being there helped lift them through. We all know that extra time is long. It's grueling, especially if you've just played a full game. And so it played out exactly how I expected it to. The first one being a little more exciting, the second one kind of dying down. But those penalty shootouts, wow. Danny Fondez coming up huge with the save and then coming down to a teenager. Again, because the last one for us came down to Josh Winder stepping up, and this one coming up to Carlos Mogel. Just an incredible night, incredible moment, and I'm so excited for next weekend.
Yeah, should be phenomenal next weekend. The Eastern Conference final, it's going to be either Memphis or Tampa Bay. We'll know tomorrow night. Those 2 teams play each other in the other Eastern Conference semifinal. Let's go back, talk about those 2 stars that you just touched on. Danny Fondez making his 7th appearance this season for the team, a player who joined the team out of a tryout. This is really the most significant professional experience he's ever had. He makes a save in the first round of the penalty shootout to give his team the advantage. Ultimately, what was the difference in the penalty shootout? And then Carlos Mogel, not just dispatching the final penalty to advance Louisville City, he also put in the free kick that led to the Manny Perez goal that got them started in their comeback. 2 guys that really, to be fair, have not featured that much for Louisville City this year. They've been part-time players. They've been role players. But they came up huge tonight in this playoff opener for Louisville City.
Well, and Danny Cruz talked about that early on in the week about how they were short players. They have injuries, and the players that have been called on have stepped up, and that's what happened tonight. Danny Fondez's name was called because Kyle Morton's out, and he stepped up big time. Carlos Mogel Jr. came in as a sub for Tyler Gibson and stepped up big time. The players know what's expected of them, and they are out there to perform for their teammates, for each other. It's not just, I'm going to play for myself. Carlos Mogel is like, I'm here for my team. I'm happy about my team. I'm happy my team won. Everything is about the team, and that team mindset is what helps make champions.
So like we said, next week, Tampa Bay or Memphis, both games bring lots of excitement, lots of off-the-field storylines. Memphis, both games in which they've faced Louisville City this year have been very contentious, physical, emotional affairs, red cards aplenty in both games that they played each other. Memphis came here and won. They were the most recent team to win at Lynn Family Stadium, not named Louisville City. And obviously Tampa Bay, the revenge angle, back-to-back years in which the Tampa Bay Rowdies have ended Louisville City's season in the Eastern Conference Final last year in particularly excruciating fashion when Louisville City gave up a late lead in extra time. Really, either game, either matchup, whether it be Memphis or Tampa Bay, is going to be a phenomenal Eastern Conference Final here at Lynn Family Stadium next week.
Yeah, I honestly don't know which team I would rather play because with Memphis, you're going to have a hard-fought, physical game. I'd honestly be concerned for some players' safety because of how these games have played out previously. And if we'd have any players available, if whatever team would win, if they'd have players available. And then the Tampa Bay game, just how difficult that match, the Eastern Conference Final against Tampa Bay, has always been. Regardless, it's going to be a really fun game to watch. It's going to be some good soccer. And so you have to get your tickets and come and watch because the fans make all the difference. And when it comes down to those last moments, when it comes down to the dying embers of the game, it's the fans that help lift the players through.
Yeah, to your point, Casey, you're watching this on the internet right now. So go up to that search bar, type LouCity.com/tickets, because it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a can't-miss event, no matter who the opponent is, whether it's Memphis or Tampa Bay. This is why you love playoffs.
Exactly.
Tonight, the prospective matchup next week, these are why playoffs are so much fun. Louisville City has been so very successful in the playoffs down the years. They've never failed to advance past an opener, and they did it again tonight. They surpassed Pittsburgh in penalties after a 2-2 game in which they scored twice after the 80th minute to tie it. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal night for Louisville City and for soccer fans in the area. We'll talk to you next week after the Eastern Conference Final.